So first and foremost, we need to sit down and make sure that they understand what's happening, why I'm conducting this assessment, what the outcome goals are, and how this information is going to be used. That is a trauma-informed way by which we can establish collaboration and mutuality, and it will in turn enhance the quality of assessment because now you have a partnership. We need to bring the person and that family through this assessment process with an understanding that we are a partner in this process and not an antagonizer in this process. So what I encourage is to not start with the assessment. We start by relationship building, some understanding of this individual, what they identify as their own strengths and their own needs, what they identify as their own abilities, to have a clear understanding as to who do they feel are their natural supports, be it a family member, a significant other, community-based supports. We also want to make sure that we are really connecting with people. Eye contact, open body language, ensuring that there's clear understanding of what's happening and the transparency of the process, listening and attending skills. If we're doing things telehealth, that we are appropriate with the fact that, hand gestures and movements are not as visual and visible to an individual. If you need me to stop and explain anything, I can do that. If you want to review this material, I can do that. But I operate from the stance that everything that we do needs to be grounded and rooted in trauma-informed principles so that we engage constantly in trauma-informed practice. So one of the most critical things about a good assessment, a quality assessment, is that the request for an assessment is coming from a team of individuals who are looking to understand an individual's presenting circumstances, the history and nature of what is going on, any strong case conceptualization, so that they can take that information forward and develop case plans, treatment plans, reunification plans, and synthesize the constellation of providers that are going to come together in order to address those treatment needs. So thinking about a good assessment means that it needs to be very thorough. It needs to draw from the most updated tools and means by which we can understand these phenomenon, but it also needs to be very, very thoughtfully written and state things in a way that is clear and understandable for not only clinical audiences, but also for the legal audiences, the Division of Children and Family Services, individuals that are a part of a person's life, should that be the case, and everyone else. The other component of this collaboration and mutuality is to make sure that you feel really comfortable with the assessment tools that you're using. A strong assessor is going to have some tools in their toolkit that they can draw from to help alleviate the stress of that moment. So in many ways, you're going to have a structured assessment that has very specific questions, perhaps measures and tools that are being used, and you want to feel very comfortable and confident with the material so that you can make this as conversational and as natural as it needs to be. So if we want good quality assessments, it's best that we start by gathering our plan of action so that we can utilize the best tools, the best measures in the most cohesive and succinct way so that we are engaging with individuals and not extracting information from them, because again, the quality of the assessment material will be inherently defined by how we start and conduct this process, and not just merely whether or not the client and individual that we're talking with shares enough information. So intentionality is really, really important, because the person that we're interviewing and assessing is now the most important thing in the room, the most important person in the room. And so we have to be very authentic and realistic about how we maneuver that assessment tool so that we aren't thinking about the outcome and then asking questions to get that outcome, that we are open-ended and we are very thoughtful about the totality of what this individual or that family system has been through. So I think that it's helpful to be very down to earth. I think it's helpful to make sure that they know exactly who you are and what your purpose is. It's also really helpful to make sure that they understand how this material is going to be used. The other thing is to be willing to back down. So if we are moving through an assessment and we recognize that somebody is becoming emotional, somebody is feeling overwhelmed, somebody has really just hit walls where the process feels invasive, extractive, or overwhelming, that we take time and pace ourselves, because yes, the assessment needs to be completed, but the well-being of that individual matters significantly more than a report that I'm going to draft. So we have to be very kind and gentle to the integrity of what our work is and what we, hope to come out of it, while also being very respectful that this is a complicated and complex experience for the person on the receiving end of these assessments, and that they may be interfacing with systems that they did not ask to interface with.